How you doing? Scotty Bear back with another video. This video about what to prepare and what to expect if you're traveling to the Philippines. Philippines, if you're unaware, is probably the most open of all the Southeast Asian countries. Asia has been, for the most part, closed during the pandemic. I think that most of the other countries had been on a test, pre-flight PCR test status. I think you could mostly fly to anywhere you wanted to. I had not flown anywhere. I went to Mexico, of course, Mexico taking on all comers. So I went to Mexico during the pandemic a little bit, but Asia just opening up here within the last few months. I traveled about 42 days ago in the early stages of opening, which probably was a pretty smart move. One is, of course, they're trying to welcome back travelers to the area. Thailand and Philippines both putting on a strong campaign to get the tourist dollars back. This is what you might expect when you travel. A good tip I received from a local here in the Philippines was print all your documents, as even in the United States in a domestic flight to LA, I had to show vaccination cards, all the PCR tests, I mean everything over and over again, each leg of the flight on different stages. So there was a lot of that. Now all the flights took off on time. It seems like they were pretty efficient with doing this, so that was okay. However, again, printing stuff out, because you can just show that they can look through everything great, instead of fishing through it on your phone, or them passing the phone back and forth, all that stuff. So that was pretty helpful advice. Did make it to the Philippines. For the most part, the flight over to Asia was I would say 40% capacity, but the flight into Manila was it seemed like every seat was sold out, of mostly Filipinos. That being said, once we arrived in the Philippines, we were stopped by the military, put in a line, and ushered into a room that was completely jam-packed with people, where they again checked all our documents before we were allowed to proceed to immigration. Health check thingy with the QR code. Again, all our documents, PCR, insurance, all the things. That took, I don't know the exact time, but an hour to 90 minutes of checks before we were allowed to enter the country. Once we entered the country, I did have to present my vaccination record to the place I was staying. I have not had to present my vaccination card anywhere else, but that's mask usage, definitely a thing here in Asia. I bring that up mostly because mask usage is less than a thing in the United States, I guess, depending on where you are, right? I mean, it seems like mask usage, or where I come from in El Paso, Texas, not so much. Maybe in Los Angeles, a little more. They just dropped the mask mandates for air travel and transportation. Sorry, fly landed on my face. But mask usage is the thing. Maybe upwards of, in Manila, upwards of 98% plus, indoors, outdoors. I bring this up because AC is not a thing like it is in the United States. At some points it was pretty uncomfortable. I did take my mask off a few times outside because it was a bit too much. My face was all, sweaty and whatnot. No one seemed to rush up and, tell me to put on my mask. However, I wore a mask from the LA all the way to Manila, 20 some odd hours. I got out the door in Manila, took off my mask because, man, I tell you, it was rough. I mean, it was definitely rough, but I was happy to be traveling, all that. I got into Manila, took off my mask, only for some guy to tap me on the shoulder with a stick and tell me to put my mask back on. So that was an experience that I was like, wow. But mask usage is a thing. The other thing that I found to be very interesting is malls, even grocery stores closing early. This is, I sleep during the day and I'm up at night to work on US hours, and so I went to go to the grocery store yesterday and it had already closed. I believe it was 8 or 9 o'clock. Malls, like I said, are closed early. It would be helpful if many of the restaurants and establishments here would update their hours on the app, making it a little more convenient for travelers, as there's been a few times I've visited places that I expected to be open until 10, 11, even midnight, that were just closed at 8 or 9, and was not very convenient, or maybe a little frustrating. So here in the Philippines, tourism is pretty low. I've seen some foreigners. There are some foreigners here. You can look at this two different ways. One being that there's not a lot of people here. Me, myself, I feel like this is great because there are more deals to be had, because there's more competition for your business. The hotel and place I'm staying at is not very crowded, so I feel like I get great service, and that is nice. Also, I'm not competing with all these tourists at my favorite destinations. That being said, places like Boracay, again, lots of competition for your dollars, so I feel like you get a good deal. And also, empty resorts, so you're not shoulder to shoulder with all types of other foreigners. As just like yesterday, a foreigner was like, hey, wanted to talk my ear off, and what are you doing here, all this stuff, which is mostly normal. I like that, but also I like to just kind of not be bothered also. But so those are maybe what I consider are the glass half empty, half full scenario there. It makes it easier to travel when things are not so busy, and I find that to be desirable. Plus, lots of good deals to be had. One thing that I saw from my bookings and stuff like that, prices appeared to be higher online than they are here locally. I was able to get maybe a 30% discount by maybe just booking a few days on Airbnb and then shopping around. Airbnb being a middleman, the host being another middleman, you cut out those middlemen, and there was definitely deals to be had. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are traveling to Asia, I do hope you have a good experience and have a wonderful, it's not quite Sunday in the United States. Might be like, let's see what time it is. I like the time thing, right? Yes, it would be Saturday at 11:27 p.m. So enjoy your Sunday. I'll see you on the next video.